Okay, hi everybody. This is a lecture that is designed to talk to you guys about the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime and some of the background information that is useful for learning about this novel. Okay. Okay, so in this novel, the main character, Christopher, has unique personality characteristics and certain ways of viewing the world that probably mean that he has something along the lines of autism. So autism, there's no like blood test or anything like that for autism. It's really just a collection of characteristics. And Christopher displays some of those characteristics, which makes him a unique narrator. So some of Christopher's characteristics are he has a lot of social impairments, meaning he has difficulty interacting with people. He has difficulty understanding people and the way that they think. And he also has trouble communicating. He has some restricted actions, which means, for instance, that Christopher does not like to be touched. He doesn't like to give hugs. He can only stand, certain confrontations with other people, certain physical actions. So he is limited in some ways physically, as well as in his capabilities for reading and interpreting the motives of people around him. So what is autism? As early as infancy, a child can display behaviors that can be attributed to this disorder. So impaired social interaction. One of the first social activities a child learns, I remember from my own son, is what they call a social smile, meaning they make contact and they kind of mimic the happy face of the person standing in front of them. Sometimes children who display symptoms of autism might not have those early markers of behavior that are typical. He or she may be unresponsive to others or focus intently on one object for an abnormal amount of time. Okay. Children with autism may fail to respond to their names or avoid eye contact with others. Christopher retreats into himself quite often. He puts his head on the ground and moans to drown out the sensory details around him. So when he gets overwhelmed, this kind of behavior surfaces. Those with autism typically have trouble interpreting what others think and feel. For instance, Christopher really struggles to read facial cues and interpret what other people are thinking, such as their tone of voice and their expressions. He, unless you literally tell him what you're thinking and what you're feeling, Christopher would have trouble interpreting that on his own. The narrator of this boy, Christopher Boone, is a 15-year-old with an undisclosed disorder, but these are the sorts of behaviors that Christopher has. Although never stated, Christopher appears to be a very highly functioning autistic person. For instance, he does very well in math and he likes science. This is sometimes appears to be having the qualities of a savant. And a savant is behavior where you're highly skilled in one particular area. And Christopher is very highly skilled in math, and he's very logical in his thinking. So that's why he likes murder mysteries, because a mystery is really like a puzzle to be solved, to be figured out. And part of the fun of reading mysteries is that you get to be the detective as you follow along in the story. So Christopher likes that kind of book. He doesn't like books like Shakespeare, books with a lot of metaphors and poetry incorporated in them, because that's not really a puzzle to be solved. And again, Christopher doesn't think in metaphors. He thinks in literal, logical language. So he has a certain kind of story that he likes to read, and he imagines himself in this book to be the author of his own detective story, solving the murder of who killed Wellington the dog. Okay, so the syndrome formerly known as Asperger syndrome, we now refer to this as being on the spectrum of autism. But Christopher displays what used to be called Asperger syndromes or the spectrum of autism. Christopher displays advanced areas in language and other intellectual abilities, but he's physically clumsy and socially awkward. So very highly functioning, but does have some difficulties. One of the unusual aspects about this book is that instead of chapters that go as they normally would, chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, Christopher organizes his book in terms of prime numbers because, again, he likes math. So the first chapter is actually chapter 2. So a prime number is a whole number greater than 1, whose only factors are 1 and itself. So you can only divide it by itself and the number 1. And prime numbers go on and on and on forever. Christopher likes to memorize stuff like that and list numbers in that way. So that's why this book can sometimes be confusing because all the chapters are prime numbers. Okay. All right. Now, other things that you might notice about this book, there's lots of pictures and drawings and graphs. And that all has to do with the way Christopher sees the world. And the mystery here at the beginning of the book is, does Christopher, can he figure out who killed Wellington the dog, who stabbed this neighborhood dog to death? But Christopher is also solving a lot of other mysteries in his surroundings. So keep that in mind, because oftentimes we will understand a little bit more about what's going on than Christopher does. So you might pick up on things that Christopher is slowly coming to realize as the book goes on. Okay.